What's up, great ones? Once again, we on the path to greatness. So today we're gonna get into, how to finance a 2020 Dodge Charger Scat Pack with no credit. So let's get into it.
Another Xfinity exclusive.
Alright, I'm on the way. To talk about this subject right here. So you guys want to know how to finance a Dodge Charger Scat Pack, or any Scat Pack for that matter, with no credit. Alright, well, you can't. Oh, you thought it was gonna be more? Oh, sorry. You can't. End the video. But what I am gonna show you is, basically the process that I went through in order to finance my car. So in this video, we're not going to get into the whole leasing between financing type of deal. This video is strictly going to be about financing the car, because that's exactly what I did. Now I will make another video about the difference between the two, and the pros and cons from my point of view, because I do know there's videos out there about this, but from my point of view, it's going to be a little different. But when I initially wanted this car, I could not get it. Now the reason why is because I didn't have good credit. See, and that's where I feel like the education system failed us. Nobody told us, you needed credit to get everything that you wanted. We just thought, just having a good job and, having a little bit of money in your pocket, you can get it. See, I actually, I had the money. I made enough money to have it, but because of the credit situation, I couldn't have it. So, what's the process I went through? Okay, so the first thing I had to do was actually find the car that I wanted. So, not even just find the car, I had to actually figure out what would be the best price for the car. So I definitely shopped around, and my initial search brought me to, now keep in mind, I don't know that I have bad credit at this point. I'm just going to go get the car that I want. So I go to, the first place I went to was out in Morrow. If you're from Atlanta or you're in Atlanta, you know where that's at. It was Landmark out in Morrow. So I went there, and the first car I found was the wide body Charger Scat Pack, and I was like, I want it. I'm getting it. Run the numbers. Let's get it. And wow. Now when I got the car, we ran the numbers and everything for the car. Initially they did say I was approved, but then they came back and was like, nah. And even when I was approved for it, the numbers was outrageous. For a Scat Pack, they was talking about $1,500. And I'm like, yo, for a Scat wide body, no. So, and that's not with any of the extra features that I have in this car. It's just a wide body Charger, standard. Which are already a little bit more, but so actually the original price for this car is what nope, actually the car was still a little bit more, because they was marking up the price, because very few people at the time had a wide body Charger. So you got to look out for things like that as well. So okay, so then at this point they say I'm not approved anymore, so I'm like, okay, what do I do? So at that point I pulled my credit. Now that's very vital before even doing what I did. Going to try to get the car first is not a good idea. Pull your credit and see where you stand at, because those credit scores do matter. Now, once you pull the credit score, there's a few things that going through this process, I found out that there's a few things that lenders look at. Number one would be, have you had a car before? So if you never had a car before, they're already a little iffy there. But if you never had a car before and you have good credit, they're still a little bit more lenient to go ahead and give you the loan, because you took care of your other finances in other places. But there's very few people out there that never financed a car, unless you're brand new to the whole credit thing, or you're young. So that's number one. They look at the credit, see if you had a car before, and then if you have had a car before, they check to see how did you maintain that car. Did you miss a payment? Was you 30 days late, 60 days late, 90 days late? All those different things. And then once there, they look at your actual credit situation, which is debt to income ratio. So that's when they're looking at how much you make and looking at how much debt do you have at this particular point. And if you have too much debt, they're like, no, we'll give you a base model Charger. You can take that, which is not what we came for. We did not come for no base model Charger. We came for the Scatty, or even a Hellcat for that matter. So once you get past all that, well, then again, I take all that back. The first thing they look at is actually the credit score. If your credit score don't match up, there's no point in looking at the rest. That's if it's really, really low. If it's in an average range, then they look at those other factors. Now that we know that, how do we get from point A, which is having bad credit, to point B, which having good credit? Everything I just named will get you the good credit, but if you want to do it in a short amount of time, because you like me and just want the car really, really quick, this is the way you do it. Now, one, I already had a car before. If you take a step back, I had a Dodge Charger GT before it got wrecked. Go check out the video if you don't know anything about that. But right, it got wrecked. So that part is already off the market. I already had a car, so that part is fine. But it was like, okay, but my credit score still does not meet the Scat Pack range. So even when I went there, they did say, well, we can try to put you in a GT or RT. I'm like, I already have a GT. Why would I? And then the RT is better, but it's not quite where I want to be. So what's the step I take? What's the steps that I took from that point on? So, like I said, went back to the drawing board, and then I realized, okay, one, I don't have enough credit length, like credit history. I think at the time I may have had about 3 years worth of history. So, okay, that's one factor. And then I realized that now all these factor into where your credit score is. Just how long you've had credit factors in tremendously, actually. Also, payment history, which my payment history was pretty good. I think I may have been late on I was late on my car payment once, because I was, that's neither here nor there. I was late on my car payment once. So that was another factor. And I had a credit card that was maxed out. So number one I did was paid off that credit card, and I left maybe about a $10 balance on it. Now the reason why you leave the $10 balance is because at the end of the day, they do want to know that you're using the credit card. If you're not using the credit card, then it doesn't matter to them. They want to make sure you are financially responsible. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Financially responsible. So which means you're not maxing out your credit cards. So pay that down. That jumped my credit score up tremendously. Believe it or not, that can weigh you down a lot. So that was number one. So then I had to, that still wasn't enough because again, the credit history. So I'm like, okay, So there's nothing I can do about the missed payment. Now I did end up, now sometimes you can call the creditor and say, hey, if I make an extra payment or if I, do this or this, can you remove that from my credit report? So sometimes they do that. So I tried that, they didn't want to budge for me. All right, that's fine. It was probably about 2 years ago that had even happened, 2 or 3 years ago, whatever. So, all right, whatever. So it didn't weigh me down tremendously, but it still weighed me down. So then I'm like, okay, credit history. So while I had accounts on there, like I said, though, it's all about the length of credit, how long you have credit. Like, so what's the length of the longest account you had? And I think mine was about 3 or 4 years, whatever. So, I started doing some research online and I came across this thing called a trade line. Now, trade lines are basically where somebody would basically add you to their account, and if they add you to that account, basically whatever history they have on that account gets copied over into your credit. So I was like, okay, who do I know with good credit? Ding 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 ding, my mom. Because I definitely, now my thing was I did not want her to co-sign, but I did want to, because I wanted this car on my own, and I didn't didn't want to deal with the hassle of dealing with somebody else's credit. So she did add me to, she had a credit card for a very long time, and she just added me to it, and it brought my credit score up a little bit more. And that actually put me in a range that I wanted to be in, to go get the Scat. So then so now that I'm in the range, so I think doing all those things jumped me up in probably about a month time frame. Doing all those things jumped me from maybe about I think at the time I was probably at a 620 to a 704. Now, that is still not good credit, but it was enough for me to get the Scat. Now, there was other steps I could have taken to build it up a little bit more, but it would have taken more time. And remember, I told you we wanted to do this in a short time frame so we can get the Scat. So those are the steps I took, and I went to the dealership, and when I ended up, so we crunched the numbers or whatever. Now, if the numbers wasn't good, I would have went back and I would have went back to the drawing board and been like, yeah, all right, listen, I can't afford that. Because, remember, like I said, when I went to Landmark, it was $1,500. So, and the other thing I did was I did not want to go back to Landmark because I realized it was overpricing the car. I think they wanted, at the end of the day, they wanted about $65,000 for a wide body Charger when I was able to find it for $50,000. So, and then this car, so I went to courtesy going for the wide body, but then they wanted just a little bit more than what I wanted to pay for a wide body. So then I ended up getting this one, and because the payments and everything worked out. So that's how you finance a Charger, Scat Pack. If you're still unclear about a couple things, or you just want to hear about certain things about credit that you may not know, drop some comments or DM me or whatever, and I'll be glad to answer the questions. So yeah, until next time, stay great.
Hey, some days I wish I knew when it came to an end, so I can live my life just like it began, or it's